let's start off by saying let's give God the glory. Again, we're excited about this opportunity against Kent State. Our players are very excited about what's ready to take place here on Thursday night. And I guess the few things about the positives that I'm looking forward to in our football team is one of them is, first of all, our coordinators. We're returning both of our coordinators. I think that's a huge plus as you continue to move forward in the program, that your coordinators are being consistent. So you're being consistent in what's been taught to your players. And I think that's been a very, very beneficial for us as we went into the second part of our program. Second thing here is belief. There's a tremendous belief in our expectation of what we're trying to get accomplished from our staff and also from our players, that what I've seen here from 1 year before. I think the other thing I'm talking about here is we understand the what, the how, and the why. And what I mean by that is we talk about the academics, you talk about the spiritual side of things, you talk about the social part of it, and you obviously talk about the football side of it. I think our players understand those three things, as I'm saying, the what, the how, and the why. Our coaching staff, they understand the what, the how, and the why. I think when you have those three things and the combination of both parties are understanding that, then I think things are going to go a lot better for you overall and everything that you're trying to accomplish in a football program. And the last thing about the positive, I think leadership. I think our leadership is better than what it was last year at the same particular time. Our guys have been taught. They have developed leadership. We've explained things to them of what they need to do, again, how they need to do it and why they need to do it, and just the part about leadership and talking about the intangible things. So those three things there, as I mentioned, about really the positive of our program, and I think that's going to be a very, very important aspect of our football program here in 2013. Talking about Kent State, Coach Paul Haynes, I don't know him personally, but I've heard a lot of great respect for him. I know he does a great job, according to people around the country. He does a great job of developing his players that he's coached. He's been a coordinator at a couple of places at Ohio State and Arkansas, primarily been a defensive backs coach, so he's a defensive background. So I have a lot of respect for him. His own alma mater, he played at Kent State, so he understands the school, he understands the football there, and I congratulate him on getting his first opportunity as being a head football coach. So I know that he is very, very a good football coach. His team came off last year 11-3, one of their best seasons they've ever had. They have a very dynamic, explosive football player, probably one of the best football players in the country, Andre Archer. Speed is probably the first thing that you can see in him. He can make plays happen in a heartbeat, and so we got to make sure that we are able to maintain him. We're not going to stop him. We might can try to slow him down, but maintain him. And when I say maintain him, is more trying to say that he doesn't have multiple big plays, doesn't have multiple explosive plays and I say explosive plays, anything that's over 20 yards, whether it's a run or whether it's a pass or whether it's a return, as far as punt return, kickoff return, or whatever those facets that he gets involved with. So that's going to be very, very important for us. So we're looking forward to the challenge there at Kent State. It's going to be a good environment. I know the first ball game of the year, they're very excited about the last year's season. A little bit about our injury report. I guess we got some good things that have occurred. Brandon Apon will be available for this ball game. We had thought originally that he was not going to be available, but he's made a tremendous comeback, I guess, and obviously God has put his hands on it. So he will be available for this football game. And that's really probably the only person in the last 2 or 3 weeks that maybe had somewhat of an injury that was maybe not going to be able to play. But he'll be available, and everybody else should be good to go and ready to go as far as in this football game. I guess the final thing is really the keys that I think have been in any ball game. The first ball game, it comes back to the same thing. You hear, and I know coaches say it all the time, but I think this one is pretty evident as far as what happened in the past compared to what they did and what we did, and it's the turnovers. They finished the season with a plus 20 turnover margin. We finished the season with a minus 3 turnover margin, and so, I mean, it's self-explanatory right there of the difference of how important success can be in a program. And obviously we had some success last year, but you can see why they had such a tremendous success is they had a plus 20 turnovers. And when you have that kind of success in that part of it, you're going to have a great chance to do some great things. The other thing is winning the special teams, the overall special teams. So I'm not saying we just got to win one phase of the special teams, but out of the 6 phases as you look at it, is obviously you got the punt return, kickoff return, the field goal block. So those are the 6 teams that I'm talking about, we have to win 4 to 5 of those, I think, for give us a great advantage to be successful in this ball game and come out with a victory. Last thing here is play well early. We must play well early to come out of the gate good and be strong throughout the whole ball game. But I think playing early is something that we have to do. As I look back at our stats in the first quarter, we didn't score as well as we had hoped for as far as a football team in the first quarter. We kind of gave up not anything a real bad as far as giving up a lot of points, but we did give up more points in the first quarter than we did with our opponents. So those are some of the keys to the game, and let's open up to some questions.
Well, you were on the other side of this thing last year where you were the first-year head coach, and Jim Grove wasn't quite sure what you guys were going to run. Is it different being on the other side, or is it them having their offensive coordinator back really kind of give you an idea of what to expect?
Oh, I think I think they're going to probably do some of the base. There are going to be some different things per se. Again, so I think any first ball game, to be honest with you, unless you've been in a program that as a coach has been there for 10, 20 years, they're not going to do a whole lot of changes. But there's always some subtle things that will happen each year to year. And so I think Coach Haynes and his staff, they're going to probably do some things a little bit different. So we can prepare for everything, to be honest with you. Basically the things that they did last year, but also a few little things that we may have seen that think that they will do.
Coach, you've been in the MAC before. There are certain characteristics about playing a MAC school, and if so, what are some of those?
Competitive, tough. They play very, very solid football. Great coaches. They teach very, very well. So I know that they're going to be taught well, and the kids going to play hard.
Coach, you mentioned leadership overall, but it seems especially strong on the defensive side of the ball. Can you talk about those returning seniors and their impact on your team?
On the defense side of Fogg and Freeman, those guys have been great examples in really all the 4 areas that we kind of mentioned earlier about academically, socially, spiritually, and athletically. And those have been great examples as far as the 1 year I've been here. I've seen them grow even just in 1 year. A lot of times it takes 3 or 4 years to see young men grow in their walk with Christ, number one. But number two is also football, but also the communication amongst their peers. I've seen them be very, very good into the impersonal communication skill that they have. And so I'm very blessed and very thankful that they're on our football team, and I think they're a tremendous asset in every aspect, and I know they're very, very excited about this football season. We feel very good about where we're at, and we also feel good about where we're going.
I know with Walt Aikens, he's been pretty good here the last couple of years. He's also been focusing on other things, basketball at one time, track at another. Do you sense an all-inness with him with football right now, that this is his senior year and his chance to really make a mark?
I don't think that everything has really been changed as far as his approach, his attitude, his development. There's no doubt that he's always been all in. He loves the game of football. I see him as really improved in every facet of his game, his cover skills, his tackling skills, his knowledge of the game, his strength. So I anticipate him to have really a phenomenal year. It just won't be a year where you just kind of know he's out there. I think he's going to make a big impact, where he's going to be very impactful on our football team in a lot of ways. So there'll be some opportunities, maybe a few as far as doing some punt return, a little bit of kickoff return also.
You like playing on a Thursday night, and how much importance do you put on this first game of the season?
Well, the first game is very important because it's the first game you're playing, and it's very exciting. Everybody's looking forward to see what you can do. You have a few new faces here and there, and they're going to see how they're going to respond, but more importantly, how the group's going to respond, because it's a team. In each individual case, there's always things that happen. How is our team going to handle prosperity? How is our team going to handle adversity? In each team and each year is very, very, very unique, and so time will tell. But again, excited about playing the first ball game. We could have played this thing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It wouldn't have mattered. We're just ready to play a football game, and I anticipate us to play very well.
Coach, we talked last night a little bit about they're going to throw out there a freshman quarterback, hasn't thrown a college pass yet. So how important is it defensively to get off to a good start on Thursday?
Well, I think it'd be key for our defense to get off to a great start, being physical, not necessarily being physical at the quarterback per se, but really all positions, all other 10 positions there as far as our D-line, containing those guys as far as up front, our secondary guys being able to tackle well. And when the opportunity presents itself, when you have an opportunity to actually have a turnover, do we capitalize on that? Do we make it happen? And so I think those are the keys for our defense to be successful against Colin.
Just how big is having Brandon back, considering the inexperience at receiver, just having a guy that's been through the fire that Josh can really trust early on in this game?
Well, I think Josh feels very good about him, even though the guys have not played in a game. I've seen and heard as those guys talking of how they feel such a good continuity. They did a great job as far as what they did in the summer, according to those guys. I think these guys here are very, very talented young men, as in Darren Peterson and Dante Shell. So I really anticipate them to do well. And Gabe Henderson, that's probably one guy that I hadn't probably talked about at all this whole summer. Gabe Henderson is probably the most improved player that we've had since this whole spring. He is a very, very smooth receiver today. I knew that he could get there. I just didn't know when it was going to happen, but it has happened. He's on, and I anticipate him to have a great season. I know it's going to happen in the first ball game. So it's good to have Brandon Apon in a lot of ways. He's a total tight end and being able to block, being able to catch, being able to do some things in different ways. So he is a tremendous asset to have him be part of our program along with his experience.
Coach, what have been your impressions of Des Rice in the preseason, and just how big of a contribution do you think he'll be able to make on Thursday night?
I think he's going to make an outstanding contribution. He's our starting running back going into the game. We anticipate him to do most of it. But again, we'll have 2 or 3 guys playing and rotating in at the running back spot, as in having Clifton Richardson and also DJ Abnor. Those guys will get some reps and playing in the running back position. So, but Des Rice, again, he has all the phases that you're looking for in a running back. He runs well, blocks well, catches the ball well. He understands the game of football. He's very tough and can make people miss and also in running the ball.
Notes that, hold on one second. As Coach Haynes talked about yesterday on the MAC teleconference, that you guys didn't exchange game film before the game. I just was curious, is that something that's commonplace, or did you exchange game film with Wake Forest last year before that first game, or how does that process usually work?
It's up to each staff. We had already had their information, so there was no reason for us to email to trade out.
Speaking of the running back situation, how much has Aldrakis been able to do since he's come back, and what have you seen from him and that you like in the first few days of practice?
Oh, it's been limited. We're really getting our other guys ready to go and get some reps as far as that goes, probably more next week where he may get involved in it because, again, we got Clifton Richardson hadn't done a whole lot of reps for us. He just got into our football program. So we decided just to hold him off and just to making sure that we get these guys ready for this first ball game.
Was there any rust to Malcolm Boyd getting back in the flow thing on the offensive line, and how has he looked in the last couple of weeks?
Malcolm has done well. We've had people trip him, fall down, fall on him just to make sure everything's okay. He knows psychologically that he's 100% and ready to go. So I anticipate him to do a lot of great things as far as us in our offensive line and really even our leadership, as he's one of our captains too. So, again, we are so blessed to have him on our football team.
How many of your true freshmen, Coach, do you expect to play Thursday?
I would say 5 to 6 probably going to play. Or a set that we're going to say, hey, they're ready to go and going to play, and we're not holding them back to see if somebody gets hurt or anything of that nature. So there'll be about 5 to 6 guys that'll play that are true freshmen.
Changes, if any, have you seen in Josh as far as maturing and getting ready for this next season? Has he changed a lot as a quarterback?
Changed in a great way. Leadership, confidence, understanding our offense, understanding the expectation of all of our coaches, what we expect out of him as a quarterback, and what we expect out of him at the end of the year, what he should be looking like as a quarterback. And again, not just from the statistical side of it, but emotionally, body language, and all those type of things. So he has really taken in the task of what we gave him to do during the summer. He did all that, and I'm glad to see that he did it all, and now it's to put it out on the football field and see it come to fruition.
Speaking of Malcolm, and the other guard there, Aaron Campbell, that has yet to see any game action, what are your expectations of him as a redshirt freshman coming in for the first time?
Well, I want him to hear him get hit in the mouth so he'll be relaxed and ready to go. So he hadn't played a football for a year or two, and so it'll be good to get that first hit, somebody hit him and get him going. So I think he's going to be a good football player for us, and I really like his size. I like his tenacity about doing things, and so I think he's a very, very good football player for us. And again, he hadn't played, but we got at some point in time, somebody has to give him an opportunity, and we really are happy to have him on our team.
Coach, you're handling special teams, but you've delegated different aspects to different coaches. How has that process worked out this fall?
Very good. I think all guys have done a great job of teaching it. As far as the coordinators, really, you got bookbinders kind of handling the punt team and the kickoff team, and so he's the coordinator for that. Then we got kickoff return. We have Marshall Roberts. He handles that phase of it. Then we got Jay Fobbs as far as handling the punt return. And so we just all work together and kind of coordinate it all. I'll be making the calls as far as on game day of what we're doing and why we're doing it as far as that goes. But they kind of handle it from the pre-game as far as the preliminaries and the breakdown of the films. They do all that work, but then I end up making all the decisions when it has to do with scheme and personnel.
You guys getting a chance to go up to the Pro Football Hall of Fame while you're up there?
Are we going to go there?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yeah. We're going to go there tomorrow night.